One of my mantras is, if you want to deliver clarity, you need to have it. So there is a lot to be done in order to simplify also the way that we do business. I found out that there is possibly an easier and more pragmatic approach to this, which I call the growth model based on 3 simple KPIs.
In this manner of looking at markets by size of opportunity, you can slice your cake, however small or big it is, and having a realistic assessment of your ability to win. That's a good model that I think even smaller businesses can apply.
Yes, actually, it is recommended also for smaller business. Knowing that ultimately 3 things are what count. Is big enough? Can I win? Can I make money?
McKinsey introduced this 9-box matrix to help organizations make invest, hold, or divest decisions. It maps industry attractiveness on the vertical axis, business strength, competitiveness on the horizontal axis, and you have high, medium, low on the attractiveness scale, and of course, strong, medium, and weak on the business strength. And then you're required to do a detailed rating scale across these 9 cells for your market and category combinations. But you had a much simpler way of your own powerful model. Can we talk about it?
Yeah, it's actually the experience of when I came in 2002 running the African continent and the Middle East and West Asia for a multinational company. So all the models that you mentioned earlier, actually the GE or the McKinsey model, definitely they say the truth and they're good. There is nothing wrong with that. It's a way of analyzing the overall context and the competitiveness and your own strengths. But I found out that there is possibly an easier and more pragmatic approach to this based on 3 simple KPIs. The first KPI, it is business size. It is category size. Obviously, the bigger the size or the bigger the country, if we are talking about a category or a geography or the whole country, and the biggest is the attractiveness of that category. So if we follow this principle, everybody should play in the United States because largely it is the biggest country in almost all categories, or more or less. But then there are 2 more elements that have to play an important role. The second one is what is our ability to win if we go to the United States or to that big market or to that big category? Obviously, this is the result of many elements, including competitiveness, cost of doing business, cost of entry. You have to assess, following also some of the directions coming from McKinsey, what is your ability to win? If your ability to win is very low, or you have other opportunities with higher ability to win, then you have your way to prioritize. And the third element, to cut it very short, it is assuming that there is a sufficient size, that I am able to win or somehow to play a decent role in that category or country. Can I make money? Because we are not here to make charity. We are here to do business, ultimately actually to generate a profit. So, and this is obviously the analysis of cost of doing business versus marginality, profitability, advertising. All these elements, they have to be together. So if ultimately you are not be able to generate any profitability or an insufficient profitability, the priority of that project will go low and opposite. So with this, which I call the growth model, we were able to understand out of the mega brands that the global company had, I would say there were 40, 45 like different categories or subcategories in countries, because Africa and the Middle East, there were about 100 countries. We were able to discriminate and to have our 4 priority model in terms of countries. 4, they were the key priority countries, followed by other countries, but the 4, they were the no make mistakes. Why? Because there is a reason why we have 2 hands and 5 fingers each.
Yes.
If we cannot count them on one hand, it starts becoming a bit complicated. One of my mantras also in this area is, if you want to deliver clarity, you need to have it. The most difficult thing is to simplify. Because if you are able to simplify, it means you understood it completely. You can make it simple, you can get everybody to understand. Many times people trying to confuse me, just complicating the subject and bringing a lot of cloud and smoke into the discussion. That shows me that probably they don't know themselves how to simplify, and that's why they make it complicated. Yes. If you know how it works, you will be able to simplify. And you'll be able to put it into 3, 4, 5 key points, bullet points, that everybody in front of you can understand.
Bringing it to the ground here, this is probably applicable for anybody and everybody in a rather complex world that we live in, which is you can slice your cake, however small or big it is, in this manner of looking at markets by size of opportunity, and then looking at yourself and saying, what is your strength? And therefore, what is your ability to succeed and win? I mean, the other piece, which is the third piece of the unit economics, that absolutely, it's a gate. If you don't go past that gate, you don't even start looking at the opportunity, right? So given that unit economics works, then the next big thing is really being honest with yourself and having a realistic assessment of your ability to win. And I think that's a good model that I think even smaller businesses can apply.
Yes, actually, it is recommended also for smaller businesses. The ability to say no, to say, we are not going to do this. That is the most painful skill that a leader has to have. Because normally, okay, everything is accretive, adds business, adds revenue, and the temptation, it is to do it. But ultimately, there is a cost that the organization, the team is paying in terms of not having the right priority setting and adding complexity to the organization. From the growth model, there is an immediate consequence, which is a prioritization. Because if you say, these 5 are my priorities, then I want to make sure that everything is consistent with this, that I have a proper resource plan in terms of financials, HR, tools, everything has to be supportive. The majority of our resources have to go behind those 5 projects, because if it's not like this, it will be schizophrenia. You're saying something, but you do something else, and normally it doesn't work. So there is a lot to be done in order to simplify also the way that we do business, starting from the complexity of the McKinsey model, but knowing that ultimately 3 things are what count. Is big enough? Can I win? Can I make money?